The Boston Red Sox have been on a roll in the last 48 hours as they recently locked up Kristian Campbell to a long-term deal.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's free, so you might as well tune in because Locked On is your team every day. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the show. Almost the end of the week, so all power to you. Congratulations on making it almost through. And the Boston Red Sox have had a very eventful week, as earlier in the week they locked up ace starting pitcher Garrett Crochet to a longer-term deal. And while the deal looks really good for the Red Sox, it looks even better, as Alex Spear from the Boston Globe did point out another important thing to note about Crochet's deal, that the Red Sox actually receive a conditional option of $15 million for 2032 if Crochet misses 120 consecutive days due to a significant arm injury. So essentially, if an event like that occurred between 2026, which is when his contract starts, and 2030, then Crochet's opt-out after the 2030 season would be voided. If he avoids said injury, then he will receive the option to opt out after 2030. So essentially, the Red Sox are basically saving themselves in all this too, so that if he does miss that 120 consecutive days, they're not sitting here feeling like they wasted a bunch of money on somebody who's not able to pitch for them. So it's a good deal overall for Garrett Crochet. And the Red Sox took another big win after that when they got a big deal done with second baseman Kristian Campbell. The Red Sox have been very vocal for a long time about how much they believe in this kid and they see him as a cornerstone piece for the future of this franchise. So when you want to lock up a player like Campbell, you have to think about the future and you have to think about the potential that he has. And there are lots of people out there saying, was it too premature for the Red Sox to agree to a long-term deal with Kristian Campbell? And the answer to that is no, because there's always a risk when it comes to locking up a player long-term. That just comes with the territory. No matter what, there's always risks involved with these types of moves. And it's an even greater risk if a player has such a limited amount of time in Major League Baseball so far. And Kristian Campbell has only spent a handful of games at the Major League level, but he has made quite the impression so far. Talk about making a splash in your Major League debut and going out there and just continuing to put together quality at bats. So either way, there's a risk with that. But the problem that the Red Sox would have run into is the longer that they waited, the more that he would have demanded. Because if he turns out to be any semblance of the star that the Red Sox think that he could be, then down the road, he would have wanted more money for the Red Sox to be able to extend him. So if he performs at a really high level throughout the course of this contract, this is going to end up down the road looking like an absolute steal by Boston, because if he ends up being a true star and ends up being somebody who contributes a lot in a lot of different facets of the game, then the Red Sox got him at a really cheap price. And what exactly is the deal? 8 years, $60 million. And not only that, but the contract also includes 2 club options. He's only 22 years old. So essentially, the contract extends from 2025 through 2032. And the team has the club option in 2033 and 2034. So essentially, it could end up being up to a 10-year deal. So the club option for 2033 would be $19 million, and for 2034 it would be $21 million, which would take the full guarantee of the contract to $100 million over that 10 years. If both options are exercised, he would reach free agency at 32. So the Red Sox are going to get him when he's at his best, and they don't have to worry about him going anywhere, which is fantastic. So the breakdown of the contract over these next 8 years. It includes a $2 million signing bonus. So in 2025, he'll make $1 million, 2026, $2 million, 2027, $3 million, 2028, $4 million, 2029, $6 million, 2030, $9 million, 2031, $13 million, and 2032, $16 million. So essentially the price goes up every year, expecting that he's going to continue to grow and develop and improve every year. And then they would exercise those options for 2033 and 2034 if they choose to do so. I'm thinking they definitely will. I don't foresee him declining in a lot of his game by then. And why? Because he's such a versatile player. And I talked in depth on yesterday's show about what he provides from a versatility standpoint. I mean, has been playing a solid defense at second base, has been one of the top contributors offensively for the team. He also portrays a lot of athleticism that he brings to the table and has speed on the base paths, and he can be versatile in the field because he can play both second base and in the outfield and left. So there are lots of aspects of his game that he provides. So because he's good in a lot of different areas, similar to Jarren Duran, the chances are really slim that he wouldn't be good in any of those areas. So when you think about how you feel like it might be a little too premature for the Red Sox to have locked him in long term, think about everything that he provides, and then think about the wonders that could work for the Boston Red Sox. Because yes, like I said before, obviously there's a risk involved, but when you have a player like Kristian Campbell, who's as versatile as he is, even if one aspect of his game ends up not being as strong, he also does other things very well at a super high level, to the point where that can help balance out the aspects of his game that are a little bit weaker, and it would make the contract still worth it. Like, say he's really good offensively and defensively, he ends up being a little bit weaker because his defense, we aren't 100% sure on still. Yes, he has played a sound defense so far, but we don't really know what his defense is going to end up being throughout his career. But say it ends up being a little bit weaker, he still has good offense, and he still has that speed on the base paths, and that doesn't take away from the fact that he can play two different positions defensively in general. So all of those things, if he is good in those areas, but has one area of his game that's weaker, he's still having a positive net value and contributing in a positive way to the Boston Red Sox. And on top of all of that, when looking at his more advanced stats, when he hit his first career home run on Saturday against the Rangers, it was a 431-foot shot that left his bat at 112.2 miles an hour. He has already flashed impressive pop and bat speed for a player who brings plenty of other tools to the table. So that alone is something that's super exciting to think about. That 112.2 miles an hour is a top 3% exit velocity so far this season, and one of the 20 hardest hit balls that we've seen across the sport yet. In 2024, less than 0.5% of batted balls got to 112 miles an hour. Think of that. Less than 0.5%. That's a very small number. And that's how many got to 112 miles an hour. And Campbell did it on his third day in the majors. He also displayed a bat speed of 74.6 miles an hour, which is in the 86th percentile in the majors. He swings faster than nearly 90% of batters, in other words, is what that means. And 3 times he topped 80 miles an hour with that bat speed. A fast swing, for context, is merely 75 miles an hour. So he is portraying numbers that are in very high percentiles among his other peers in Major League Baseball. And that's really special for somebody who only has a few games of service time in Major League Baseball. So there's definitely lots of notable things about Kristian Campbell that makes him very unique and makes him a rookie that is worth having around long term. And for the Red Sox, this benefits them in multiple ways because obviously if he performs well, they got him at a bargain. If he doesn't perform well, they also got him at a bargain and aren't spending a whole lot of money on him if things don't go as well as they had hoped, as opposed to if they dished out this crazy contract on him and then he started to decline, like Xander Bogaerts with the Padres, for example, who is now on the older side, and the Padres dished out a ton of money to him. Kristian Campbell's still young, so during this contract with the Red Sox, he should be in his prime, and that's really exciting to think about. And the other good thing about the deal is, say he declines a little bit, but still provides a ton of value down the road because he's super versatile. If the Red Sox ever wanted to think about trading him, then they could do that because of the fact that a team wouldn't be scared off by his contract because they're not spending a crazy amount of money on him. This is like the Braves, for example, with some of the deals that they've given out to guys like Ozzie Albies or Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, they took chances on those guys when they were young, and look at what they have become for the Braves. That is what the Red Sox see in Kristian Campbell. They see him being the Ronald Acuna Jr. of this team, who the Red Sox got on a really good bargain deal when he was young, and he just goes and thrives. And not only that, but also for his confidence. The Red Sox wanting to lock him up long term sends a message to him that they truly believe in him as a cornerstone piece of this organization. And that's huge. For somebody like him who's still pretty fresh in the league, having that support and confidence of the front office for the team that you are a part of should make you feel really good about your ability. So for him, he should be able to go in with a really good mindset heading into the rest of the season moving forward. So lots to be excited about with Kristian Campbell. Be sure to go back to yesterday's episode if you missed it, where I laid out a lot of these qualities that he brings to his game, but versatility, athleticism, having a good, strong power bat, having good defense, lots of good things about him that we can look forward to. And now he's locked up for the longer term foreseeable future for Boston. What does this mean for the front office? Does it send a message about their aggressiveness? That's coming up next. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Talk about a great deal. So definitely check that out. Kristian Campbell is now locked up long-term for the Boston Red Sox. Good vibes all around, as in the last 48 hours, they have extended both Garrett Crochet and Kristian Campbell. What does this say about the front office? This says to me that they are done messing around. If they see somebody who is worth investing in, they are now showing that they will invest. And Craig Breslow deserves a lot of credit for being able to get the types of deals done that he has gotten done. Since he was hired, the Red Sox have extended Brian Bayo for 6 years at $55 million. Ceddanne Rafaela at 8 years, $50 million. Garrett Crochet at 6 years, $170 million, and Kristian Campbell at 8 years, $60 million. So they have handed out 4 bigger long-term deals to players that they see as part of the cornerstone pieces of the franchise moving forward. So when you think about the Boston Red Sox and how their goals have been unclear to some over the last few years, it's starting to become a little bit clearer now. They saw a longer-term vision that involved a guy like Kristian Campbell and even Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony, when they got called up, I'm sure their opportunities will come soon, and they will be in talks with the Red Sox also about extensions, because the Red Sox have also made it clear that they see those two as firm pieces of the future. So the Red Sox are at the point now where they are starting to show who those cornerstone pieces are that they are going to continue to build around. With Brayan Bello, they obviously see him as part of the rotation in the long term. They are committed to developing him and helping him continue to grow as a starting pitcher. And they want him to be a guy that's a part of that rotation. With Ceddanne Rafaela, they extended him for 8 years, and they came out and said that his defense is the reason why they extended him. Yes, he struggles at the plate. I'm still waiting for him to try to improve in that regard, but he still lacks a lot of plate discipline, does not like to take walks. He's dead last in walks so far to start the season, and generates lots of swings and misses at the plate. So the Red Sox extending him was not about his offense and was solely about his defense. And they have made it clear that they are going to have him continue to play in center field because they feel like he's best suited there and they can make the most out of his defense if he plays there. So he's here to stay as a cornerstone piece. And it makes you wonder how the Red Sox are going to handle the rest of the outfield when a guy like Roman Anthony gets called up. Who's going to stick around and who's going to go? Then you have Garrett Crochet, who the Red Sox have come out and said is their ace. They feel like there is ace caliber stuff in him that he can provide to the Red Sox longer term. And when they traded for him, they had every intention of extending him to a longer term deal. And they had been in talks with him, and he didn't think it was going to happen anytime soon. But that's how quickly things can move in this business when it comes to deals. And as long as the sides are in mutual conversation and things are heading in the right direction, then they will continue those talks and not give up until they find some common ground. And then hopefully it ultimately leads to an extension. And that's what happened with Garrett Crochet here. And they see Garrett Crochet and Brayan Bello both being key pieces of their rotation. I think their goal is to eventually make Brayan Bello a number 2. He's not a number 2 starter right now. Still needs work to get there. But if you have a 1-2 punch of Garrett Crochet and Brayan Bello in the next couple of years, if Bello continues to grow and develop, that would be huge for this Boston Red Sox team. And then you have Tanner Houck, who right now is above Bello in the rotation in terms of consistency and ability level. Again, we have to see when Brayan Bello comes back from the IL, how he bounces back from that injury, hopefully very well. And hopefully we see Brayan Bello from the second half of last season come into this year. But you have Tanner Houck in that mix too. Those are solid young arms that the Red Sox can continue to build a championship rotation around. I don't think they feel like they have the best rotation in baseball right now by any means, and they don't, but there could be guys who are sneaky. I mean, Walker Buehler, who we've talked about extensively here on the show, could be a sneaky offseason move that the Red Sox made that a lot of people are undervaluing. And then you have obviously your core pieces there. So Walker Buehler being where he's at age-wise and the fact that he's had 2 Tommy Johns, he's probably not a long-term answer for the Red Sox, but he could be here for the next few years. But then when you have guys that you see as your cornerstone pieces, then you can fill in the other spots. So now that you have those 2 guys set in stone longer term in Brayan Bello and Garrett Crochet, now you can start to solidify more solid pieces around them to round out that rotation longer term. And then you have Kristian Campbell, who the Red Sox obviously see as their second baseman of the future. And the reason that the Red Sox value this so much is because they have not had a true second baseman really since Dustin Pedroia. He was the last consistent second baseman that the team had. So for them, they were in a situation where they had to just make ends meet and throw guys in there to play second base and hope that it worked out. But now that they have a guy who's a true franchise piece at second base, he is now here to stay. And I really like the aggressive approach that Craig Breslow has taken. I don't think that part is being talked about nearly enough, because in the former regime with Chaim Bloom here, the Red Sox in general, not just him, but the organization in general, seemed indecisive when it came to making decisions on players and what they wanted to do, if they wanted to commit to people long-term, what they wanted to do at the trade deadline, if they wanted to buy, if they wanted to sell. There was a lot of indecisiveness going on there. And now with Breslow at the helm, they are making decisions and getting things done and locking up players longer term that they feel are worth it. And that sends a message to Red Sox fans that they see the vision and they've been seeing the vision. And it also sends a message that they will spend money on players they feel are worth it. And because they hadn't spent a lot of money over the last few years on players who the Red Sox fans wanted them to spend money on, it did seem like they just changed their mindset and that they were cheap and that they weren't going to spend money on anymore. Obviously, the front office heard the complaints, but they also were being patient for situations like this because they wanted to know that they could invest in locking up long-term the players that they see are worth it, that are great long-term investments for the team. For example, you can't commit to a guy like Max Fried for 8 years, who I mentioned on the show yesterday, when he's 30 years old and act like that's a really good investment, because it's not. Because towards the end of that contract, as he's getting older, injuries become more of a risk, and the back end of that contract might be rough for the Yankees. So the Red Sox sent a message that they will spend money and they aren't afraid to spend money. They just want to make sure they're being smart about it and spending it in the right places. And when you look at a guy like David Price and the contract that he had with the Boston Red Sox, John Henry was trying to avoid that type of situation again. Or even with Chris Sale's contract, obviously there was no way to know at that point that he was going to battle through all these injuries and he was going to end up missing as much time as he did. But in hindsight, that just is what it is. So the Red Sox are really trying to be cautious about that and avoid getting themselves into that type of situation again, where they are committing long-term to players that are injury prone or that can't really contribute at the highest level. And obviously injuries are inevitable. You don't know who's going to get injured when, but by locking up Kristian Campbell to the deal that they did, after locking up Garrett Crochet to the deal that they did, it really shows that the Red Sox are not afraid to make longer term commitments. It just has to be for the right players that they feel are worth it. And this completely changes the tone and the vibe surrounding the Boston Red Sox, because rightfully so, there was a ton of frustration coming from fans about what the Red Sox are doing and what direction they are going in. And if I'm the Boston Red Sox now, I'm looking at the situation and saying, yeah, people should start to feel differently about us because we're showing that we're willing to invest in the team. And that was the biggest hesitancy that people had was, is the front office willing to invest in this Red Sox team? And these types of moves show that they are. And I am very excited that the Red Sox have gotten these things done. Now there's a roster full of young talent that they feel is part of the future. And it also gives hope to prospects, because when prospects are seeing all of these kinds of things happen and they see that Kristian Campbell was locked up long term, now they're going to have hope for their future of, oh, if I continue to play really well, the Red Sox could lock me up long term. So it gives them that extra motivation to perform well at the highest level. So guys like Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony, who are playing really well in AAA right now and are excited to be called up, gives them hope that if they continue to perform very well, they could be like Kristian Campbell too. So really good vibes and a really good message that it's sent all around. It really makes me feel like the front office is bought into the Boston Red Sox and they are willing to commit to players that are worth it. So because the Red Sox are committing to players who are worth it, who's next? That's what I'm going to be talking about next. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. I love that Just Ingredients prioritizes wholesome, nourishing ingredients without the artificial junk. Whether you're recovering after a workout or need an energy boost, their grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout deliver real results. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow at just.ingredients on Instagram. Clean, high-quality products is the key there, so definitely invest in some of that. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. These things are incredibly delicious. I have gotten so addicted to them, and every time I'm at the store now, I purchase them because I literally can't help myself. So you should too. I am so happy with the Boston Red Sox right now. Obviously, the games and record right now don't show what Red Sox fans want to see exactly, but now there's momentum surrounding the team and excitement because of the recent contracts that the Red Sox have handed out to Kristian Campbell and Garrett Crochet. And as we continue to root for the Red Sox to start winning some more games, we also think about who should be next when it comes to the extensions, because obviously the Red Sox don't plan on stopping that. They are going to commit to their cornerstone pieces. The question, though, is who is the next natural cornerstone piece for this team? It's a really difficult situation to navigate with the outfield because you have Jarren Duran and Wilyer Abreu both playing out there, both guys who provide a ton when it comes to the Red Sox offense, defense. They are both guys who are super talented that you can look at and say are reliable. But then you have Roman Anthony waiting. You already have Rafaela locked up. So what happens? Do you lock up one of these other players long term? Is Jarren Duran somebody that you see as your long-term leadoff hitter? Is he going to get this big contract extension from the Red Sox? We don't know. It's hard to know for sure who's going to be the future when it comes to that outfield in particular. And the biggest thing is going to be Roman Anthony. When he comes up, where is he going to fit in? Who are they going to move around for him? And then you go to the infield. Is Tristan Casas the next big piece that the Red Sox commit to? Because when you look at the Red Sox infield right now, you have Devers locked up long-term at third base. You have Trevor Story, who's on a few more years of his deal at shortstop, but you have Marcelo Meyer closely behind, who will be coming up at some point soon to take over shortstop for the Boston Red Sox. He likely will be extended long-term when he gets called up too, because they really value him as a key piece of the future. Then you have Kristian Campbell locked up at second base. First base right now is still a question mark, and this is a big year for Casas. I don't think the Red Sox were convinced enough from his rookie season that he was the first baseman of the future, and then unfortunately for him, he missed a lot of the season last year due to an injury, so now he's going to be working on trying to get back on track this year, and if he goes off and has a really big season this year, the Red Sox will probably be convinced enough that he is the first baseman of the future. So then that might be a conversation that they have. I don't see them extending Casas during the course of this season because I do think they want to see another full season from him first. But what I will say is the fact that they haven't extended him yet means that they might be more open to other first basemen than we might think, because Vlad Jr., for example, is going to be a free agent. Is he somebody the Red Sox are going to look into? And I think they are still unsure. And I think the way that Casas performs this season is going to make that determination when it comes to what the Red Sox do and how they move forward with Tristan Casas. So the first base position is still a question mark. That's naturally the next spot that I'm looking in when it comes to seeing who could be extended potentially next, because they still have this situation in the outfield with a lot of talent that they have to figure out and work through still. So what type of season is Kristian Casas going to have? Or are they going to figure out their catching situation? Are they going to trade for or try to pick up a catcher that they see as a cornerstone piece long term? Do they see Connor Wong as that piece long term who can be a guy who can contribute? Is there a pitcher that gets called up or has already gotten called up that they see as a cornerstone piece? Richard Fitz, for example, a guy who has shown really good stuff over the course of his time so far in Boston. Obviously, really small sample size, but from a pitch standpoint, has really good mechanics. Is that the type of pitcher that they want on the team long term? So there are lots of areas that they can look when it comes to who should be next. But either way, this gives me more confidence that if the Red Sox know there's somebody that will be part of the long-term piece of the puzzle, they will work to extend that player. And when they had said they were in deep talks with Kristian Campbell, I knew that something was going to be getting done. It was just a matter of when. So look for names like Kristian Casas, Richard Fitz, and potentially a catching situation in general to be where the Red Sox turn to next. With Casas, I do think they want to give it some more time, make sure that he can stay healthy for one, and that he's not going to spend a lot of time on the IL, and that he's able to have an effective season before they get deep into talks with him. But lots of different directions that they can go in from here. But this is all very exciting for the Boston Red Sox, formulating their future, building the puzzle surrounding the guys that they feel are going to be here long term, and just continuing to build around those players. And it's an exciting time to be a Red Sox fan because they are building a team that is going to be very good. And the 2025 version of the Boston Red Sox could be a very good team that makes the playoffs. Might not be quite there yet for a World Series championship, but if Kristian Campbell performs at the level that he is at right now consistently, and you call up Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony when it's their time and they perform at a high level consistently, plus you have the other guys that are locked up already. I mean, this is a lot of talent on this Red Sox roster with more coming up. So it's very exciting to think about. And I love the fact that the Red Sox aren't shying away from handing out contracts to players that they feel are worth it. Completely different mindset and way of doing things as it has been the last few years. And that's really promising to see as a Red Sox fan. So I cannot wait to see what they continue to do throughout the rest of the season. Hopefully they win more games and they are a playoff contender, because all of the vibes are there. The roster on paper is definitely there. Now they just have to continue to execute. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.